Hello and welcome to a brand new podcast here. We're going to look ahead and look back every week of the Betfred Super League. And of course, this year we also sponsor the Betfred Championship and Betfred League One as well. And I'm delighted to be joined by a legend of the game, 9 grand final wins, 4 World Club Challenge wins. We'll be talking about that, of course, as at Leeds travelled to the Melbourne Storm. And now he's a director of rugby at Hull KR, Jamie Peacock. Jamie, thanks for joining us. I want to start with the Hull versus Wigan game. First of all, how good was that to have a Super League game in Australia?
Yeah, you've got to tip your hat to Wigan wanting to take their brand outside this country. They realise it's a huge brand within rugby from the dominant periods within the 80s and 90s. And credit Hull as well for taking that game out there. And look, our game's different to the NRL game. Players chance their arm a little bit more. It can be a little bit more attractive to watch. And I thought the game they put on was fantastic down in Wollongong, Australia.
Yeah, good crowd as well. You've mentioned Wigan. Good start, 2 wins.
Yeah, I think we're going to be in the top 3 this year. They were very, very disappointed with the way they finished the season last year. You look at their playing squad; they've got some very, very talented players, and I think Hull played well in that game. But I think Wigan and Saints are going to be the teams to watch this year.
Well, in that game, Liam Marshall had a great game. He scored the first try at 7-1, and then because he scored again, you first try scorer punters got paid out at 14-1.
In the hands of Farrell now, and Farrell to Marshall. Marshall has the pace, Marshall has the legs on shore. First try of the game goes to the Wigan Warriors. Here's Marshall again, Marshall taking him on once more. He's got the legs again, they've done it again. He's got a second.
So Liam Marshall there with double delight and hat-trick Kevin. You were paid out at 14-1. Let's talk about Castleford. 13-12 winners, and Daryl Powell saying that he's actually pleased they've got a break now to just chill out. They seem to be feeling a bit of pressure, don't they, Castleford?
Yeah, look, everyone was going into that game and thinking, look, Castleford will put 40 points on Widnes, and they just snuck the game at the end. And I think Castleford, for me, I've not got over last year yet. They've not got over losing Zach Hardacre and getting obliterated in the grand final. They need to get over that. Hopefully this win can allow them to do it, because, look, Castleford are very attractive to watch when they play the game. They score a lot of tries, and I want to see that Castleford out there again in 2018.
Do you think there's some scars in those players still? They need to just forget about it, get on with it?
Yeah, that's it. You've got to move on. In sport, mistakes happen, bad games happen. That happens all the time now. The best players and the best teams learn and move on from them. At the moment, they've not moved on from last year. Hopefully this win will allow them to do it.
Well, of course, they lost in the grand final to Leeds, and it's been a good start for Leeds. 2 wins in the Betfred Super League. And after that victory over Hull KR, we spoke to Brian McDermott.
Well, you could go deep into it, but I don't think you need to. I thought it was a convincing win. I thought we showed some class, but for different reasons than we showed. I thought we showed some class last week against Warrington and executed pretty well and looked very cohesive. But tonight we obviously wasn't. We disjointed. The weather knocked us about a little bit. Lost a couple of players before kick-off. So and played it, a really enthusiastic, keen OKR team. First game back on TV in front of the Sky cameras in Super League. So, they were committed, and we had to show some different traits there to win tonight, which is equally as important. We're going to have to. We're not going to be great every week, and we're going to have to show something other than just skill, and I think that would epitomise tonight.
Jamie Peacock alongside me. We've just heard from Brian McDermott. With your Hull KR hat on, you must have been disappointed after that game at Ellen Road.
You were disappointed with the result, but not by the performance. I thought performance was a huge step up from what we delivered against Wakefield the week before. I think in the dressing room afterwards, obviously they're upset about the amount of effort they got in, didn't quite get some of the calls and didn't get the result. But there's some things in our control which we can do better. We spent a lot of time in Leeds' 20 and just didn't have the cutting edge to get through and score tries, and that's something I know the team will be working on for the game against Catalans.
let's ask you about your old club, Leeds. 2 wins out of 2. Look, they're looking good, aren't they?
Yeah, look, we spoke about hangovers before with Castleford. I think Leeds had a bit of a hangover before the start of last year from when they finished nearly bottom of the league. But now they've got over that little, like that tough, gritty side who can go on and win games even when they've not played well. They did well to beat Warrington. They didn't play fantastic against ourselves and still won that game. And they're characteristics which you've associated with Leeds over the last 10 or 11 years.
And obviously, I think one of the big tests will be when they return from Australia, won't it? How they react to that.
Yeah, look, it's huge, the game after playing in the World Club Challenge. I know from playing it myself in this country, the emotional drop that you have as a player, it's very difficult to get yourself up to the same kind of heights the week after. And whoever's got Leeds the week after, they should be rubbing their hands because they're going to have to deal with a team that's emotionally down and also travel 12,000 miles as well.
You've got the most wins in the World Club Challenge with 4, so congratulations, well done with that. How big a ask is it, this Melbourne Storm?
Yeah, it's huge. When I was playing at Leeds all the time, I thought, can we get a game down in Australia? No, we couldn't. Always at Ellen Road, always at Eden. It's great to play there, but it's a huge challenge for any British side to go to Australia, get over the 12,000 mile journey and play. And not only that, I think Melbourne Storm are just a cut above at the moment. They're a cut above the NRL sides. They played North Queensland in the grand final, put 30 points on them, and that's the second best team in Australia. I think Leeds have got the ability, if they can play at 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, they can push Melbourne Storm really, really hard. And I think it's one of them games that you've got to see. You've got to watch the champions of this country against the champions of Australia in Australia.
How good is this Melbourne side though?
Outstanding. They're absolutely outstanding. They've got 2 of the greatest players of all time playing for them, Cameron Smith and Billy Slater at the back. And Craig Bellamy is just a coach who gets the absolute best out of those players in and around them. And like you say, the Australian clubs are seen to be slightly better than the Super League ones, but I think, again, I'll come back to Melbourne Storm, are seen to be that leap above. And they've been ultra consistent. Like the Leeds Rhinos, they've featured in and around the grand finals over the past decade.
And what would it mean if, I know they're up against it, but what would it mean if the Leeds Rhinos could do it? I mean, Wigan, the last team to win in Australia, 1994.
Yeah, and I think when you hear the Wigan players talk about that 94 victory, they talk about it's the greatest game in all their lives. And these are the players who played for Great Britain and beating Australia, playing for Great Britain. And I think that'll rank up there with the Leeds Rhinos players and the club as probably its greatest victory if it can go down and win in Melbourne on Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday morning. Should be an absolute classic. Melbourne Storm versus the Leeds Rhinos. It's live on Sky as well. Well, let's hear from the Leeds camp and hear from Ryan Hall on the World Club Challenge.
It's massive because we represent the Super League on this occasion. We get to go down, to Australia, into Melbourne, and try and take the mantle of the best team in the world. I think I've been quoted that the last English team to do that was 26 years ago.
Wigan.
So Wigan was it 26 years ago, and so we've got some history to try and bring up to date. We've got to try. We know how good Melbourne were. We've seen their form in the NRL last year, and they were formidable. And it's going to be a big task, but at the Rhinos we believe we can do it.
So it's Friday morning, a World Club Challenge. Look, you need to throw a sickie, don't you? Or be taking your mobile to work and watching this game. Should be a fantastic advert for Rugby League as well. Thursday night, you're in action. Hull KR versus Catalans. But you've said you can take something from that performance at Ellen Road.
Yeah, I think so. I thought it was a huge step up for the side in terms of building pressure. We built a lot of pressure against the Rhinos, and a lot of other teams might have buckled under that. We create 4 or 5 back-to-back sets, and we're a team that's always going to be in the game. Tim Sheens teaches that, coaches that, be competitive for the full 80 minutes. We've got a very fit side, and at home I think we'll beat the Catalan Dragons. It's one that both sides will want to win. Neither side's got a win yet, and one we're desperately looking to win as well.
You signed a player with bags of experience, and he's still obviously got loads to give. Danny Maguire, I thought, had a good game at Ellen Road. Yeah,
Danny Maguire's a class player. Having been in and around him for the last 10 years, I knew what he'd bring to the club, and he's certainly done that. He's been fantastic at training, and he's been great in the games as well. He creates opening for players, and he's dangerous when he's got the ball in his hands. And not only that, he's a good leader. He inspires people in and around him, so he's going to be a good signing for us this year.
OK, so it's Hull KR versus the Catalans, live on Sky on Thursday night. And let's hear from the Hull KR coach, Tim Sheens.
Well, again, a side that's 0-2 like us is a bit of pressure. They've got to travel. We've had a couple of more days to prepare. But all that will mean nothing unless we go out there with the right attitude and nail the little things. We've talked about the processes, not the outcomes. Just worry about each tackle, each run, the pass, the kick, the chase. Get that right, come out with the enthusiasm that's required to be a Super League player, and the outcome takes care of itself. We'd hope the atmosphere will be in our favour, and the conditions, well, we've trained all week in windy, wet conditions, so if it's still that tomorrow night, Thursday night, we're ready for it. But again, it's in the hands of the players to adapt to any issues that happen in the game. We're not going to. There's no such thing as a perfect game ever been played. So when we're under the pump on goal line, or if they do score some points, and we need to be able to keep our composure, not let the scoreboard pressure, which I thought at the back end of the game against Leeds, it did affect us a little. It affected them. They got confidence from it. We were a little bit disappointed with some of the decisions. Heffernan the penalty not going to us and going against us and losing him for the game. Little things like that you've got to learn to handle. So some of them, the championship level, it doesn't worry you as much, but at Super League level it can be a game changer. So we've got to really develop that attitude of not letting those things get under our skin.
Live on Sky on Friday night, it's Widnes versus Warrington. Let's hear from the Widnes coach, Dennis Betts.
The massive side of they've got great support, they're well funded, the expectation of where they've been over the last 8 to 10 years has driven them into a point where everybody looks at them every year and everybody wants a little bit more. Like I said, the recruitment's been really good. I think, like I said, Bryson Goodwin is a fantastic player. Like I say, he's only going to get better. I think across their team, they've got players that are going to keep adding, and lads that have come back and playing well and getting fit. Chris Hill is probably close to being the best front row in the world. Like I say, after working with him in Australia, he's that good. He's a great player. Saying Darryl Clark's starting to find his feet a little bit. So it's a dangerous group of players, and they're in a dangerous position at the moment as well because they need a win.
So Widnes falling just short on Sunday against Castleford, unlucky to lose 13-12. But Jamie, they had a good win against the Catalans, 40-12.
Yeah, they're a good side. They've been playing well. I think people were tipping them alongside ourselves to finish in and around the bottom, and I thought it was an outstanding performance against Catalans and to run last year's grand finalists so close, only losing 13-12. They almost go into this game against Warrington as favourites this time round.
Because to be fair to them, they had an awful start in the Super League last year, but they did play well in the qualifiers. They seem to have carried it on, don't they, Widnes?
Yeah, they have, and I think in 2016 they started the season really well. They won probably 8 games in a row, got themselves out of that bottom 4. 2017, not the same. I think they're going back to that in 2018. Let's get this start, let's fly out of these blocks, get as many wins as we can, and then we're out of danger. OK, well, the pressure is on Warrington already. 2 games, 2 defeats. Let's hear from their new coach, Steve Price.
Yeah, I've been happy with the the players' attitudes. In terms of the things I've been disappointed with, it has been a little bit offset to that. But being a local derby, hopefully we can bring a little bit of brutality to the game, and it's going to be a good game, and hopefully we can come away with the result which we've been chasing for a while. Oh, they've got a number of good individual players. They've got Joe Miller's doing a good job for them, and they're defending well. I thought the first half against Cass, I thought they defended their try line quite well, and the amount of field position Castle had in good ball, I thought they handled their nerve quite well. Looks to me that they're all playing for one another, and it's important that we go out and play to our strengths and manage the game to what we've been addressing on throughout the week.
Steve Price there talking to Betfred. Jamie, it's welcome to a Super League for Steve Price, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think as a club, Warrington, with what they've gone through in the pre-season, huge turnover of players, new coach, new staffing, they'd like to start that season by winning, and to lose the first 2 games, I think there's a huge amount of pressure on them going into this game. This is almost, in round 3, must-win game for Warrington Wolves and Steve Price.
Can they do it?
I think they can. I don't think they were far off against Leeds. If Ryan Atkins had learned how to score a try in the corner, they'd have put themselves in the game. I think they've been disappointed with the way they played against Huddersfield. But there's enough star quality in that side. There's England players everywhere, ex-NRL players everywhere. They should be good enough to beat Widnes.
OK, right then. You're head of rugby at Hull KR. How are you going to get on against the Catalans then?
Yeah, we're going to win. We're going to win this game. We'll get our season off to a start. We'll get 2 points in the bank, and I think we'll perform well and win well at home.
And your old club, Leeds against the Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, look, this game's going to be a classic. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. My heart is saying that Leeds can't do it, but my heart is saying Leeds can do it. My head's saying they can't, but I'm going to go with my heart. I'm going to say Leeds are just going to sneak it and have one of the best nights the club's ever had.
Well, let's hope so. That's Friday morning, live on Sky, the Melbourne Storm versus the Leeds Rhinos for the World Club Challenge. Right, I hope you've enjoyed our first podcast. And remember, if you are going to have a punt this weekend, keep it fun and gamble responsibly.